It is a big idea. A new world order.
With skillful manipulating of the press, they're able to make the victim look like the criminal, and the criminal look like the victim.
We love what's happening.
Hear preliminarily that the first
Yay,
strike
America,
was
we can
success
do it.
I welcome you to Make It Plain TV.
Our language, black family, can no longer be, it is no longer acceptable for us to be running around here talking and acting like slavery ended. Whenever someone says that, we must say it with a qualification, or we simply say altogether, that is untrue. The 13th Amendment said that slavery should not exist. It's prohibited except, somebody say except, somebody say except. The 13th Amendment, read your Constitution. That amendment specifically made an exception to slavery for it to continue to exist. This is the reason why they work so hard to push us into the prisons, because it is within the confines of prisons that they can deny every right that you could possibly have as a citizen. They can pimp and use your labor without paying you or giving you a pittance. That is the reason why they're able to take the rights from those that are in prison, and there's nothing that can be done about it because slavery is still legal. So the fight needs to be, as a part of the Black agenda, in my humble opinion, in addition to reparations, it must be, and in my opinion, to land, it must be the full abolition of slavery. That's a side note. Mitch McConnell is running around here acknowledging the original sin. I got off on a tangent on the other stuff because I want you to know that even though he acknowledges America's quote unquote original sin of slavery as if it ended, slavery continued to evolve under different names, such as sharecropping, such as dealing with the adverse effects of the slave codes and the black codes, such as the Jim Crow, such as now new Jim Crow or the prison industrial complex. He acknowledges, this is, again, Mitch McConnell, I'm going somewhere. We're thinkers here on FlyNubianQueenTV.com, on the Vicky Show in particular. We don't mind sitting down at an intellectual 5-star restaurant where there are several. Are y'all hearing me? We're okay with not going through the drive-through to get information and wisdom. We're willing to take the time so that it penetrates our subconscious.
This is Coleman Hughes, who earlier this week in front of Congress established himself as the definitive voice of the anti-reparations movement by saying this.
And the Senate did the same. Black people don't need another apology. We need safer neighborhoods and better schools. We need a less punitive criminal justice system. We need affordable health care. And none of these things can be achieved through reparations for slavery.
That was Coleman Hughes. Oh yeah, by the way, this is also Coleman Hughes. Yeah, it seems like he's got a lot of explaining to do. I first saw this guy talking, I was telling you all he looks like a prophylactic. Obviously, the moist energy is just gushing. And I said it then, I didn't even know who this character was. But since then, people have brought it to light. Coleman, Cruz, Hughes, whatever you want to call this jackass. They say he's from Puerto Rico, although I've got my own thoughts about that. I don't know if he's from Puerto Rico or Booty Rico, but I gotta tell you here, it ain't looking so good based on what I'm seeing. Now, of course, we want to thank Tariq because he posted the video on his page, and I gotta tell you, when I first saw the image, I was saying to myself, no, Tariq, we don't want to do this. We don't want to put up Photoshop pictures. We don't want to do that, brother. We want to keep this keep this professional, keep it intelligent, keep it above board. And then I realized it wasn't a picture, it was a video. So I was saying in my head, well, we don't want to, post up pictures with videos that are made up. We don't want and then I realized, whoa, this is not a drill. This is real. And I saw it. And I was looking at this and I was saying to myself, there is just no damn way. And then it all made sense. No, it wasn't photoshopped. No, it wasn't nifty computer animation, computer generated imagery. No, it was nothing like that. It is this fella apparently in New York on the subway in his drawers, pole dancing in his tighty whities. This is the same guy who was sitting in front of Congress. I know he must have felt really weird and really awkward having to wear a suit. But for all the white supremacists, for all the plantation Negroes, for Fox News and all the right-wingers who were standing up for this guy, I'm just asking, by the way, these are the values you stand up for. These are the values that you stand up for. This is what you consider. This is what you people are about. Everybody who was defending this guy, this is what you're about. This is who you really are. This is you. This is the anti-reparations movement. That's the point I'm trying to make. This is it right here. If you want to know why it is that he was utterly unafraid and unconcerned with the backlash from black society, it is because in his mind, he is not a member of it. And I have told you all about this before here at the Black Channel, if I may be brutally honest, of course. We've had other people here with backgrounds from Puerto Rico that we've had to take to the woodshed for Coonan, for Zimmerman and other things. And Puerto Rico is a place that has firmly demonstrated that you have a bunch of brainwashed, melanated people. And on your screen right now is Coleman Hughes, literally as you never seen him before. Now, this was him by day. This is Coleman Cruz Hughes by day. And I suppose we would call this Coleman Cruz after hours. Is this what this is what he does during his downtime? This is the authoritative voice that says we shouldn't get reparations? I want us to be very clear about this. Take a look at this video. This is a perfect example of the mentality of the person that says we shouldn't get reparations. Yeah, they didn't let all this out when he was in front of Congress. They didn't let you know he was coming. They didn't let you know he'd be there. But now that you can see the real mentality behind the individuals saying that we don't need reparations, you can see what they're really about. So when he's in front of Congress telling everybody that black people don't need reparations, anybody trying to stand up for him, this is who you standing up for. This is where you stand. This guy is one of your brethren. And this is what you gotta be. You see, they don't have a problem with him acting like this, because Mike Johnson, suspected white supremacist representative from Louisiana, He knew what he was picking with Coleman Hughes. He knew what he was picking with Coleman Cruz. He knew what he was bringing up there. He knew what he was bringing to Congress when he brought Coleman Cruz as one of his witnesses to speak up there in front of Congress on reparations. He knew what they were bringing. They knew it. And this is what you gotta be. To be accepted as a black male by these people, this is what you gotta be. So of course they know how to dress you up. They know how to put a suit on you. They know how to make you seem like you are a sensible, sane, rational, balanced individual. But in reality, they know this is what you are about. They wouldn't have brought you there if they didn't. And remember what I've taught you all, that these people have perfected the art of finding Negroes who have some agenda other than black empowerment. You got black folk who have an agenda of something other than black empowerment. So they had him, they had that junky ass ex-NFL player, individuals with something on their minds other than black empowerment. Now I want you to take a look at this video and you tell me, what is Coleman Cruz's agenda? I'm asking a very simple question. I'm not going to get into his corny ass LSD inspired so-called rap song. My D works, the profane term for penis. He made a song, My D Works, so you can see what's on his mind. So I'm trying to make a connection between the two things. He's telling people that his penis works, and then I'm seeing him spitting around on a subway pole in his drawers in front of white men, and I have a feeling that I know what the agenda is. I have a feeling that I know what the agenda is. I just got a feeling that he was trying to communicate and signal to us what the agenda is in his mind. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, those two pieces of evidence, we got one piece of evidence that corroborates another piece. Now, what type of sane man, black or otherwise, does this? What type of mentally and emotionally balanced individual does this? Forget black empowerment altogether. What balanced individual does this? This Negro looks like he's trying to qualify for a crazy check. No wonder he ain't worried about a reparations check. He's trying to get on board and get that crazy check popping. And you can only see it flash for a moment at the end of it, but it shows him walking off on the subway ramp, walking off among the people standing on the subway ramp. So he didn't just confine it to the bike trail where you see the river behind him. He didn't just confine it to inside the subway car. He was walking through the damn subway in his damn underwear. This is the person he really is. But when he got to Congress, all of a sudden it was, let me tell you about reparations. Nah, my dude, you are nowhere near the agenda of reparations. I think I can see what your agenda is, and we don't want no damn part of it. So if you all want to know the mentality of the anti-reparations movement and the phony Negroes that they prop up, this is the best they could find. I want you to understand that this is the best they could find. I want you to be clear about that. This is the best they could find to be against reparations inside black society. And if you had had this video beforehand, it would have been a whole separate discussion. So we're going to have to work really hard on these hearings to find out who they're bringing in so that we can do a little bit of a background check on them first and find out, okay, what is their real agenda? Tulsi Gabbard is a Hindu. She's from East India. She is a Hindu. And she's got some conservative opinions about things, I guess technically politically conservative. She kind of straddles the fence. She's a Hindu from Hawaii. And she was posting up. She went to this event also. And my man, Jamie and Fowler, thank you very much, brother, for putting up this video and everything. I saw this, and this is the black media from our correspondent, Jamie and Fowler. Thank you very much for this, brother. I want you all to listen to what she had to say here. And it might be a little bit janky on syncing up the audio for it, but I want you to hear what she had to say. I want you to hear what she was talking about when she was there, because I want you to understand the level of duplicity, the level of disregard that these people hold us in. So what I'm going to do here is I want to play the video for you so that you can hear what she had to say. And then we're going to come back here and explain exactly what it is that you're hearing here. This is Tulsi Gabbard.
I've been one of the original co-sponsors of HR 40.
Okay, so is there going to be cash payments once you're elected as president? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Don't you have time? Don't you have time? It's just a simple question. It's a simple question. It's Gabbard. It's Gabbard. It's Gabbard. It's Gabbard.
So there you go. There you go. Tulsi Gabbard claims she wants the Democrat vote for president, claims she wants to get your vote for president. And when asked about reparations, she say, I can't talk about it, it's late. It's late. She's telling you it's late out here. So now she's telling people that it's late. Okay, let me go ahead and replay that for you here. Somebody was saying the sound was doubling. We're going to, like I said, the sound's a little off for it. I'm going to see if we can try to replay this for you so that you can hear it. I don't want it to be doubling through here if we can avoid that happening. But this is her, and I want you to go ahead and hear what she has to say. Let's go ahead and try to replay that again for
one of the original co-sponsors of HR 40.
Okay, so is there going to be cash payments once you're elected as president?
We don't have time to get into
Why not? Why not? Don't you have time?
because it's midnight.
It's just a simple question. It's Gabbard. It's Gabbard.
Well, they certainly found a way to shut up a Democrat. If the Republicans want to know how to shut up a Democrat, all you have to do is ask them about reparations and they start running. Now, let's just be very clear. She's an East Indian, and she's letting you know where she falls on the ladder of reparations. Next up is a chick, I guess is one of Bernie Sanders' black female puppets. Bernie has become really good like Joe Biden. You notice they keep bringing out black females to be their crash dummies. They send out these black females. Black females with these really low kind of studly haircuts. You know, like Simone Sanders. I mean, they keep sending out these really studly looking black females to address these things. So we found another one here, and wait till you hear what she has to say when she gets asked about Bernie Sanders and his stance on reparations. Wait till you hear what she.
Aggressive brother.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Nice
Jamie and Fowler.
Hi.
Yeah. How's Bernie Sanders going to get the black vote without advocating for reparations?
What do you mean? He said that as the next president of the United States of America that he would sign H.R. 40.
Yeah. Okay, that's not advocating for reparations,
he's talking about systemic change in this country. He understands the disparity within the disparity. He's talking about working towards eradicating that.
Okay, but
so it's not just about reparations. He understands that we have systemic and structural racism in this country that he is prepared to address.
But black Americans are 14% of the population.
Yes.
Yet we own 2.6% of the wealth in this nation.
Well,
that's a very gross disparity, Ms. Turner.
Amen to that. And we're dealing with income and wealth inequality that has happened generation. Look, the study that says that it will take 228 years, and you're probably familiar with that, for the average black family to catch up with the wealth of the average white family. That means never, if we think about that. And so we all have an obligation to do something about that, and government first and foremost. So the senator certainly understands that. He's been talking about these issues. He's gone deep in these issues, and he will continue to push for these issues. But when he was asked the question about that study, would he sign it, he said absolutely.
So how long would it take to study it?
Well, as you know, the representative, and I'm blanking on his name right now, our representative who introduced that bill time and time again.
Conyers.
Yeah, Conyers, thank you. And I know Representative Conyers. But this is something he's been pushing since the 80s.
Well, she is such a good friend, and she is so concerned about John Conyers that she literally could not remember his name. She was so in-tuned about reparations and so respectful of John Conyers that she could not remember Congressman Conyers' name. So when I tell you all that they hire these sock puppets to do this, when I tell you that they hire sock puppets to do this, this is what I mean. This is what I mean when I tell you that they're hiring sock puppets to do it. She remembered it was somebody, but she couldn't even remember the black congressman's name. I guess because he didn't pay her. Also, did you see what happened when Julián asked, well, how long will it take for this study to be completed? She didn't have nothing to say. Because you see, when they talk to us, it's about flicking crumbs off the table and seeing how little it is that we are willing to settle for. Now, what they're going to do is give you non-answers to see if they can just get you to leave them alone. But that didn't occur. That's not happening. And what she did is she once again exposed that, yeah, these people are not here to do anything for us. This is about individuals like Nina Turner getting individual benefits for herself, individual rewards for herself, but black people as a group are left on the outside. And if your candidate, if you are a black person working for a candidate, and people ask you what is your candidate going to do for black people, and you are consciously, deliberately sidestepping black people's issues, I must then ask, are you worthy of being a part of black society anymore, or are you a willing collaborator and a willing mouthpiece against black people? At some point, we have to stop saying that you're just being political and say, well, you know what? I think you work for the bad guys. It seems you got a lot in common with them. It's kind of seeming that you're collaborating. And that's not really what we're looking for. That's not really what we're looking for. So when we start talking about what black people need and you're dancing around our issues, you are now revealing to people who you really are and what your real agenda is and where you really stand. If you all want to know why it is that I ride so hard for this reparations thing, it is because it isn't about Congress. That's what I want you all to understand. This is not about Congress. This isn't about the Senate. This isn't about the American government. It's not about a law. Brothers and sisters, you can just ask a politician, for if any of you run into any of these politicians who tell you, well, we can't get it through the government, ask them this question. Jamie and everybody else, ask them in principle, not in politics, but Senator Sanders, Senator Warren, Senator Clinton, do you in principle support cash payment of reparations to black people for slavery? In principle, do you personally, in principle, support this idea in principle? Even if you can't support it politically, even if you can't get it, even if you don't think it can get past as law, do you personally, as a matter of principle, support the idea of cash reparations in principle? And that's when you're going to start getting them saying the more truth, what they said, what the witnesses in front of Congress said. I don't think that black folk need a check. I don't support the idea of black folk getting a check. Then you realize, oh yeah, it's not about politics, it's about your principles. It is against your principles for black people to get what Jews, the Japanese, Native Americans, white people, and everybody else has received. You oppose us in principle. It's against your principles to support reparations. If you really want to stick it to them and you really want to stop them in their tracks, just ask them, okay, politics to the side, Congress to the side, Senator Sanders, do you in principle support it? And that's what Charlemagne did. Charlemagne asked him, do you support cash payments? And Sanders had to say no. So they're going to try to hide behind Congress. Oh, I support H.R. 40. Okay, but H.R. 40 is reparations. Well, the studies say, okay, regardless of studies, do you, Nina Turner, do you, Gabby, whatever her name is, Tulsi Gabbard, do you, Senator Warren, support cash reparations to black people in principle? Let's stop letting you hide behind Congress. Do you support it at your own personal principles? Then they're going to tell you no. Then it's going to be, oh, okay, yeah, that's what you're really about.
All the butter biscuits were all over the place today, family. It's been one hell of a day, man. I've been up early watching these hearings. I hope you guys have seen the reparations farce that we've all been warning y'all about. We've been warning everybody about this reparations hearing that they were going to have. We already knew from the outset that it was going to be a sham job. We already knew. We were pointing out the people involved, with Sheila Jackson Lee and all the language they were using even before this thing popped off. They were already talking about, well, we ain't really focusing on payments for reparations. So we already knew, but the trash and the sham and the garbage was just more immense than we ever imagined. It was Babel Fest. It was just like we predicted. I told y'all it was going to be a whole bunch of truth and reconciliation talk. Everybody talking about their feelings and how bad racism is and how bad black people has had it in this country. And another thing they would try to do, they kept trying to put racism in the past. The whole narrative they kept doing. They kept trying to talk about how bad slavery was and how bad black people had it for a short period of time, and then it got better after civil rights. This was this was the narrative they kept spinning. They kept talking about, well, up until the 50s, up until the 1960s, black people had to go through Jim Crow and all that stuff before we had civil rights. They act like civil rights erased all the anti-black hatred. So the whole thing, again, it was that, like we predicted, it was going to be a bunch of, let's talk about feelings, how we feel about being mistreated, There was one, they were bringing all of these Democratic and Republican shills on there. And one thing you have to understand, there's no difference between a Democratic coon and a Republican coon. They had right and left wing coons out there. That's the thing. We've been sleeping on these Republican and Democratic coons. The Democratic coons are just as bad. The left wing Democratic coons are just as bad. And usually the Democratic coons are 9 times out of 10, they get immigrants to be the Democratic coons. I want y'all to notice that the Republican coons are generally old school, homegrown, Jesse Lee Peterson types, that plantation. They're holdovers from the plantation, but those are usually the older ones or they're domestic bedwenches. But the Democratic coons are usually the immigrants. They get these people, they understand that there's a lot of immigrant coons who are aching to get them some butter biscuits, and they'll throw us under the bus. So they know how to fish from that immigrant coon pool. They know there's a whole pool of immigrant coons that's just chomping at the bit to throw us under the damn bus. They know that, and they know how to help them erase their background so they can mix in. This is why we got to be very careful about people who are coming out to the forefront supposing to represent us. We got to look into people's background when they're trying to speak for foundational Black Americans. But with this whole farce, this whole thing was the Democrats trying to get a Black agenda on their resume. This whole farce is going to be their Black agenda. This whole talking in circles, nothing burger ass reparations hearing that didn't talk about any solutions, anything tangible. It didn't talk about doing anything for Black Americans. They're going to use this on their resume. So when they're running next year, when they're campaigning a little harder, they're going to be like, well, we talked about Hispanic issues. We talked about Black issues. So we didn't ignore Black people. We talked about Black issues, right? We had a whole big old reparations hearing for Black people. So we're not ignoring Black people. We had a whole big old thing for Black people. He was involved, and Cobra was involved. Sheila Jackson Lee. I mean, this is how we care. We had this big old meeting about Black people. That's how they're going to try to frame this, guys. This is how they're going to try to flip and spin this train wreck that happened today. This was a damn train wreck. Don't let them spin this as if it's some type of positive, because that's what they're going to do. This was a nothing burger. This was disrespectful. It was venomous towards Black society because it was hate-filled. They put people on there to really throw other Black folks under the bus, to undermine Black people, to throw our needs out of the window. We can't, I don't think we fathom how disrespectful this filth they put on today was to Black Americans. This was extremely disrespectful to Black Americans. And I want to play a few clips. I don't want to play too many because, again, it was just a bunch of nothing burgers. You had a whole mashup of random ass people too. You had people on here that was extremely random. They had some former football playing coon who nobody really knows, Burgess Owens. And again, they get these people because they've already coon vetted them. They made sure that they're nice and coonish. Then they had Danny Glover on here. He's Sambo babbling. He ain't really saying nothing. Then they had Ta-Nehisi Coates on here. He was just kind of being neutral to a certain degree. He's not saying anything. And they had this Coleman Hughes guy on there, some random dude whose only purpose was to go on there and shit on Black people. But it was a mashup of nitwits, losers, clowns, and coons. Then they had a couple of white people on there talking about what would Jesus do? They literally had a white woman on there talking about how would Jesus feel about reparations? Would you go to Native Americans and Jewish people talking that type of talk? They wouldn't do that in a million damn years. These people think so lowly of us. Thank goodness there's a new generation of awakened black people out here that's not going for the okie doke. And shout out to all the black people who were outside and also inside, because people were inside booing the hell out of those folks with all that coonery. Shout out to the brothers and sisters that was out there really giving them that work. A lot of the people showed up and they were opposing the fuckery there. But they were trying to run that game. But let me play a few short clips. I don't want to get too much into a lot of the coonery that was going on because they weren't really talking about nothing. Now, this one guy, this is Burgess Owens, and he's a right-wing coon, and he started talking about the Democrats are responsible for slavery. He was running that whole Ben Shapiro stuff, that they put that type of garbage together at the National Review and all of these other white supremacist think tanks, that time-wasting argument where they want to blame the Democrats and blame the Republicans. It's the whole who's on first hot potato. He's the racist. No, he's the racist. No, he's the real racist. No, he's the real. And both of them are racist. So that's another time-wasting tactic that they use. But let me play this Sambo. Hold on.
Believe in restitution. Let's point to the party that was part of slavery, KKK, Jim Crow, that has killed over 40% of our black babies, 20 million of them.
Hold on. This whole thing about the Democrats started the KKK. Let me tell you something. The Democrats became the Republicans later on. That's why the Democrats created the Confederate flag. And who flies the Confederate flag today? Who fights for Confederate monuments today? Who was running around there in Charlottesville fighting for Confederate monuments? The right. Unite the right. So don't let them run that whole, it's the Democrat. No, it's the Republican. It's the Democrat, Confederacy. All of them are the same, all right? Don't let them run that game. It's who's on first.
State of California, 75% of our black boys cannot pass standard reading and writing tests. A democratic state.
Oh, Lord.
So, yes, let's pay restoration. Restitution.
Wait, this nigga said respiration? Hold on, I didn't catch. Hold on.
Restoration.
Let's play restoration. This mushmouth. Look at these inarticulate mushmouth Negroes. Let's play respiration. Restitution. Reparation. Just mushmouth Negroes.
State of California, 75% of our black boys cannot pass standard reading and writing tests. A democratic state. So yes, let's pay restoration. Let's pay restitution. How about the Democratic Party pay for all the misery brought to my race? And those, after we learn our history, decide to stay there, they should pay also. They're complicit. And every white American, Republican or Democrat, that feels guilty because of your white skin, you should need to pony up also.
Oh, Lord. They done put that Negro. That's one of these Negroes they done put out there. All poor white people. Oh, we're beating up on white people for asking for what we're owed. Oh, poor put upon white people. Oh, my God. How dare you do this to Massa, making Massa feel guilty just because of Massa's skin. Oh, Lord Jesus. This is what they put out there. And remember, that whole committee, that subcommittee, that entire subcommittee is full of whites and immigrants. That whole subcommittee who put this whole farce and charade on, it's full of whites and immigrants. The only black person is Sheila Jackson Lee, and she's a damn immigrant. She's Jamaican, and they had a couple of Latinas on there, but everybody's white and immigrant. So this whole civil rights subcommittee, they ain't even got no foundational black Americans on it. And this is why we got to be on top of our game. We should have been doing this a long time ago, looking out for ourselves. But let me play some of the other clips from this farce. This is Ta-Nehisi Coates Danny Glover, and who was this other kid? And a little bit, I might play some Corey Butt Cheeks. I don't know. But here's Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Cited civil rights legislation yesterday, as well he should, because he was alive to witness the harassment, jailing, and betrayal of those responsible for that legislation by a government sworn to protect them. The matter of reparations is one of making amends and direct redress, but it is also a question of citizenship. In H.R. 40, this body has a chance to both make good on its 2009 apology for enslavement.
And see, this is this whole truth and reconciliation, we're going to make a whole big deal out of apologizing. I don't give a damn about no apology. Just give me some money. Give me what's owed to me. Give me mine. Give me what's owed to me. I don't need no damn apology. See, when black folks come around, then everybody starts talking about how you feel and emotions and all that. No. Just let's break that cheddar off. Let's get that money flowing.
And reject fair weather patriotism. Justice.
And everybody again, and I didn't play the part where he was talking about, even he was talking about, well, it doesn't have to be checks in the form of payments. It could be blah, blah. No, we need the check. We need money. We need payments. We need cash. I want the cash. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I don't want to hear all that stuff. And now we got Danny Glover. I don't know what Danny Glover was talking about. He was in the color purple mode. I don't know what he was babbling through the whole thing. I don't know what nobody knew what the hell Danny was talking about. Bless his heart. And I think there was some pictures of Danny Glover. He had dozed off. I'm like, if y'all don't get this man some warm milk and let him take a nap, what are y'all doing with him out here? This is a shit show. But here he is. This is Danny Glover. I don't know what he's talking about.
For black people will not flow into society merely from court decisions, nor from fountains of political oratory. Nor will a few token changes quell all the tempestuous yearnings of millions of disadvantaged black people.
My daddy, I had to fight my
White
uncles.
America must recognize
I had to fight my
justice
brothers.
for black people cannot be achieved without radical changes in the structure.
I never thought I had to fight in my own house. I love Harpo. God knows I do. But I kill him dead before I let him beat me.
Get off my land. Get off my land. Seal it. Seal it. God damn, Danny. I don't know what Danny was talking about. God, it just felt like I'm watching The Color Purple. Shit. I don't know what this nigga was talking about. Damn. This thing was just a hot goddamn mess. Just all of it. Just a mess from top to bottom, man. And then Corey Buttcheeks, what are you talking about?
Time we find the common ground and the common purpose to deal with the ugly past and make sure that generations ahead do not have to continue to mark disparities, but can truly talk about a nation where, as our ancestors spoke from the good book, where justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Oh, shut up, Corey. Shut your ass up. So they were just doing a whole mashup of, let me put my Mackin music on. Excuse me, guys. They were just, this is what it was about. All this just nonstop babbling, talking in circles, trying to be all poetic, never getting to the point. And that was by design. The whole design of this was to just be confusing, as unfocused, as non-specific as possible. This whole thing was all about being non-specific and just all over the place. That was by design. But what really a lot of folks are talking about, this one guy, this Coleman Hughes. Now he really put the syrup on the butter biscuits. This guy, Coleman Hughes, and nobody knew who the hell he was. He just some random Negro who's some freelance writer. I mean, just completely an obscure Negro who nobody knows. I mean, they could have had so many other qualified people there. You could have had Brother Claude Anderson, anybody from the Hidden Color series. There were so many other people they could have had up there to really articulate this matter and just get right to the point. But it's not about getting to the point and making sense. That would be too much like right. There's a reason why they got Danny Glover and all of these damn mush mouths out here. They don't want to make it an articulate conversation. This is why we have to stay on the grind as far as that. This is why we have to stay on the grind. There's some people, how come you didn't go up there? Man, they wouldn't let me, if I went up there, they wouldn't let me in that damn building. Y'all know good and well they wouldn't let me in that building. Because let me tell you something. I'd get a check that day. I'll be up there getting right to the damn point. I'd be up there. I'd come out with a check for y'all ass that day. I wouldn't be playing at all. I ain't going up there talking about my damn feelings. I wouldn't leave that building until somebody gave me some money. I know how to get some fucking money. They better not let me up in that bitch. I'm getting you some money, y'all. I'm like Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran, he got some shit done. Johnny Cochran will get the gold. I'm going to get you some money. Let me get up there talking. I ain't leaving that building until I get a check for somebody. I'm going to get right to the point. Well, how you feel? How would Jesus do? Jesus told me to come get this money from your ass. That's what Jesus told me. Now, do I get the checks on the first or the second floor? Because they look like they got checks on the first floor. So which elevator do I take to go down to the check place? Because I ain't here for no feelings, talking about no Jesus and no kumbaya. I ain't here for no minority coalition. I ain't here for none of that. I'm not here to talk about how bad racism is. You know what it is. It's payday time right now. We need an emergency fund right now. I need it right now so I can go take it to the people who need it the most. We need a justice reparations fund right now. I'm not here to play games. I wouldn't spend 5 minutes talking in circles about my damn feelings. We about to talk business. It's business time. But this one dude, Coleman Hughes, he was really throwing them butter biscuits all up in the air. And let me play this guy. And a lot of people were very critical of him. They were booing his ass in the whole 9 yards. Where's this Negro? All right. And by the way, this dude is a Democrat. Now, this is a Democratic coon. All right. This guy is a Democrat. This just shows you the vitriol the Democrats have for us. And by the way, when you hear people like this, when you hear Negroes like this being placed in certain positions to speak on important issues, always understand that it's the white supremacists talking, and this is just their Negro puppet. Let's never forget that. Let's always keep that in mind. Understand that it's the white supremacists who's putting this Negro out to speak for them. That's why he's such a random, unknown Negro that don't nobody know. It's the white supremacists putting their bought and paid for Negro out here. So this is Coleman Hughes.
Mr. Coleman Hughes is a columnist for Quillette and has worked as a freelance opinion writer since January 2018. He's had pieces published in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the National Review, the City Journal, and the Spectator. He's studying philosophy at Columbia University, and we appreciate your attendance, and you're recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Cohen, Ranking Member Johnson, and members of the committee. It's an honor to testify on a topic as important as this one. Nothing I'm about to say is meant to minimize the horror and brutality of slavery and Jim Crow. Racism is a bloody stain on this country's history, and I consider our failure to pay reparations directly to freed slaves after the Civil War to be one of the greatest injustices ever perpetrated.
Now catch that. Now, I want y'all to notice something. Notice they said he writes for the National Review. So this is some white supremacist think tank that has written all of the talking points for him, okay? So all of his talking points are written by white supremacist think tanks. Now, you heard what he just said. It's horrible that they didn't give black people reparations right after slavery, as if it's just too late now. And it's not too late. It's never too damn late.
By the U.S. government. But I worry that our desire to fix the past compromises our ability to fix the present. Think about what we're doing today. We're spending our time debating a bill that mentions slavery 25 times, but incarceration only once, in an era with no black slaves, but nearly 1 million black prisoners. A bill that doesn't mention homicide once, at a time when the Center for Disease Control reports homicide as the #1 cause of death for young black men. I'm not saying that acknowledging history doesn't matter. It does. I'm saying there's a difference between acknowledging history and allowing history to distract us from the problems we face today. In 2008, the House of Representatives formally apologized for slavery and Jim Crow. In 2009, the Senate did the same. Black people don't need another apology. We need safer neighborhoods and better schools. We need a less punitive criminal justice system.
Oh, Lord, that criminal justice system BS, which gives the impression that all black people are criminals. See? Whenever it talks about, we're going to help black people with criminal justice reform, but that gives the assumption that we're all criminals. It's the white supremacist talking point. Always catch that.
We need affordable health care. And none of these things can be achieved through reparations for slavery.
Yes, they can. They're booing him.
Nearly everyone close to me told me not to testify today. They told me that even though I've only ever voted for Democrats, I'd be perceived as a Republican and therefore hated by half the country. Others told me that by distancing myself from Republicans, I would end up angering the other half of the country. And the sad truth is that they were both right. That's how suspicious we've become of one another. That's how divided we are as a nation. If we were to pay reparations today, we would only divide the country further.
Oh, stop. This whole, we're going to make white people uncomfortable. That's that coon babble. We just going to make white people uncomfortable. We're going to divide them. We're already divided. These people are blowing our brains out in the damn streets, nigga.
Making it harder to build the political coalitions.
Oh, that coalition, they divided coalition. They got them using all those coon buzzwords. We ain't no damn coalition. Ain't no coalition. We ain't got no coalition. Don't nobody want no coalition with us. We've been doing the coalition thing for the last 100 years. It hasn't worked. It's all about us right now. Ain't no more damn coalitions.
Required to solve the problems facing black people today. We would insult many black Americans by putting a price on the suffering of their ancestors.
No, you wouldn't. They booing his
and we
ass.
Would turn the
They're booing him. No, you're not going to insult me. If you're going to insult me then. Give me a good price. Insult me. Putting a price on the suffering of the ancestors. No, that's not going to insult me. That's going to respect our legacy.
Relationship between black Americans and white Americans from a coalition into a transaction.
What coalition? This nigga keeps talking about a damn coalition. There is no coalition. Black folks don't have time to wait on no coalition from the dominant society. Some coalition that ain't never gonna happen. If the coalition was gonna happen, it would have happened already. It's a one-sided coalition. We're trying to appease every damn body. Ain't no coalition. Damn that. It's money time. Let's hand that bag over right now. Yes, let's get a transaction. Yes. Let's collate that. That's going to be our coalition. Let's make that transaction. That's the only relationship we do need to have, a transactional relationship. That's the only relationship they have with us. Unless we're giving them money or spending money on something that they have, they don't want to deal with us. They don't come around us unless they're making money off of us. Nobody comes around us unless they're exploiting us financially. Our presence here has always been transactional. Slavery was transactional. They made money off of us. Give me some of that damn money back that you made off of us, nigga.
From a union between citizens into a lawsuit between plaintiffs and defendants. What we should do is pay reparations to black Americans who actually grew up under Jim Crow and were directly harmed by second-class citizenship. People like my grandparents.
No, people like us. Jim Crow was just the name of public policies. Jim Crow was the name of public policies, of common law. We're under a Jim Crow style system now. We're under a Jim Crow system now. And now it's worse than Jim Crow. More black people get killed now by race soldiers and state-sponsored vigilantes than Jim Crow. More black people have been killed in the last few years than the entire Jim Crow era. We need that paper.
But paying reparations to all descendants of slaves is a mistake. Take me, for example. I was born 3 decades after the end of Jim Crow into a privileged household in the suburbs. I attend an Ivy League school. Yet I'm also descended from slaves who worked on Thomas Jefferson's Monticello plantation. So reparations for slavery would allocate federal resources to me, but not to an American with the wrong ancestry, even if that person is living paycheck to paycheck and working multiple jobs.
What the hell do you mean the wrong ancestry? What he's trying to say is immigrants. Oh, he's trying to say immigrants. It would, a person who has the wrong ancestry, he means immigrants. And immigrants, that don't have nothing to do with the debt that's owed to us. They need to take that up with their home country. See, watch this dude.
To support a family. You might call that justice. I call it justice for the dead at the price of justice for the living. I understand that reparations are about what people are owed, regardless of how well they're doing. I understand that. But the people who are owed for slavery are no longer here, and we're not entitled to collect on their debts. Reparations, by definition, are only given to victims. So the moment you give me reparations, you've made me into a victim without my consent. Not just...
Okay, what the hell? Hold on. Why did this phone ring? I thought this damn phone was off. Hold on. Okay. When they start talking like that, just let them know. We are victims. See, that they try to shame you by talking that victim talk. Well, you're acting like a victim. God damn. You're acting like a victim. And you let them know, I am a victim. I'm a victim of white supremacy. Yeah, I have no problem with that. I am a victim. We are victims of white supremacy. I have no problem with that title whatsoever. I've been victimized by systematic white supremacy. I am a victim of.
This channel is dedicated to bringing truth to power and engaging our enemy with intellectual warfare. The dominant society will never switch up their playbook, so we must make a new one. The war we find ourselves in is a technological war, using technology, propaganda, and psyops to oppress and control you. Black intelligentsia, please share the new black media, counter propaganda arms, make it plain TV.
Killing what can't be killed.